Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome back to lesson number 12 of Beginner C++. It's funny that I should call this lesson number 12 when the next video is going to start with me referring to it as lesson number 12. It's because the next video came out really good, but I got all the way through it and realized that I haven't shown you guys how to use strings properly yet. And I was using strings like I'd taught you that already. So there's definitely some issues that, need to be resolved before we actually do lesson number 12. So the issues that I've kind of outlined is that a string like this will not work. Let me show you what I mean. So if I do cout enter a string, right, and then do cin for str, let me come up here and make a string called str equals single quotes to make an empty string, and then do cout str, right? And then let's put an endl so we don't have it pressed up against that system.pause. And so let's do enter a string. Ew, really? Did I not? There we go. So do enter a string. Let's do hello Boston, as that's where I'm living near / where I work. As you can see, all we get's hello, which is clearly not what we entered. And it's because of how cin works. And a lot of people, when they're first learning, they see this as a limitation of string. Like, this is a bad thing. Like, string is, or cin is limited. But as a matter of fact, it's not. It's a feature of cin that it breaks on white space. And while I say that this is wrong in capital letters, what I mean is this is wrong to use with strings. There are a lot of times when this is the right thing to use, and next video you'll see what I'm talking about. And it really depends on what your data is. And that's kind of one of the biggest things with C++ is knowing what your data is, knowing how to handle it, and making sort of ways to work around what your data is and getting better at handling it. So the first thing that I'm going to show you guys is how to actually get a full line with spaces and symbols and whatever you want intact. So there's a function inside of string called getline, and you're going to access it like that. You're going to do getline, you're going to be accepting console input, and you're going to be passing it to your string variable, just like that. So it's just one simple thing. We're going to do hello Boston. And just to show you guys, I'm going to put in some \n, some exclamation points, numbers, etc. And as you can see, no escape characters are handled that way. So you can't put escape characters in via getline like that, because they'll just be accepted. So anything that somebody types into getline is going into getline. There's no stopping it. And this does introduce the need for type checking, and we'll get into that probably 5-6 videos from now. So that's just kind of the first thing, right? So second thing is we're going to, I want to show you guys just what's going on, what a string actually is. And we're going to get more into arrays in 2 lessons. But for now, I just kind of wanted to show you guys what an array actually looks like in the debugger. So I run this, I'm just going to type in hello. As you can see, it returns us here. And we have hello in this string, right? So we look, and you see that there's these numbers here that correspond to positions inside of our string. So the first position, which is numbered 0, is capital H. Then there's an E, an L, an L, and an O in the first through fourth positions respectively, because I typed in hello. Now, the reason I wanted to show you that is to kind of demystify a little bit what happens with people. We can see that these are characters. We can see that this 72 that comes before it, that's actually an uppercase H in char form. So let me explain what I mean by that. Is all characters are is ASCII representations of values, right? And I'm not even sure that we're gonna get into that. I try to avoid teaching char as much as possible because it's a little bit old school. But I will kind of show you guys how to compare a certain position in a string with a character. So let's just do something like this. We decided that the first character in a string is called str of 0, or well, str is our variable name, but the first position is 0. And these little brackets are used when we're looking at an array. And so all a string really is it's an array. So if the first letter equals H, you'll notice that I used single quotes here rather than double quotes. And the reason why is because we're comparing the first thing to a character. You know, when that was open, we saw that each one of those positions was a character. So in this case, let's just do cout H found. Just like that. Sorry, move my mouse out of the way. And L. And so if we do this and we type hello again, we see that we find the H. If we don't, damn, we didn't find the H. So that's just kind of a basic overview of how we might use a string, right? Or how we might kind of search within a string for something that we're looking for. In this case, it's a single character. And there will be times when that gets useful. In the future, I'm going to show you guys how to remove items from a line or from a string or whatever. And that's actually going to be next video. So what I want to show you, actually, let me leave that in and just comment it out. Comment. All right, so next thing I want to show you guys is how to compare strings. So for that, I'm actually going to need a second string. str2 equals empty quotes. Empty string, rather, because there's no quote there. And what we're going to do here is we're going to allow the user to enter a second string. So we're just going to do like this. We're going to actually get rid of that and do a second string. And we'll cin for string 2, or well, we'll getline cin for string 2. And we're going to make an if statement. And what we're going to do is we're going to take str and we're going to type dot compare, right? And so what we're going to do here is we're going to compare it to str2. And so let's do, we'll see if it's greater than 0. And so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to set str equal to AAA. Actually, let's do that to BBB. And string 2 will be equal to AAA. And so let's just do cout str, god damn it, equals str, and then str2 equals str2, and just an endl. So when we give this a run, we're going to go BBB AAA. Okay, so as you can see, this is actually entered in here. And let me explain why. So the values that are inside of strings goes something like this, right? When we're comparing two things alphabetically, we have A is less than B. That's kind of true because A comes before B in the alphabet. There's also values that are represented in each letter. And that kind of gets into characters, which again, we can kind of see when we set up a breakpoint, right? So if we do a breakpoint, insert a breakpoint here, we type in AAA, BBB, we come down to that breakpoint, right? And we see that A is equal to 65 and B is equal to 66. So when these two things get compared, what this string.compare is actually doing is it's comparing the first character in both of these. So it looks to this 0 position and it sees, okay, we have a value of 65 here, and then it comes to string 2 and it looks here and it goes, okay, we have a 66 here, and it goes, is this greater than 0? And so what this actually means is the number in here greater than the number out here? So in this case, if the first characters are the same, it goes and it looks at the second and the third, the fourth, throughout the length of the string. If they're equal, meaning if both strings are exactly the same, it equals 0. If string 2, or the second string, or what we're comparing to, is greater, meaning that it's later in the alphabet, then it returns a 1. If it's less than, like that, then it will go the other way, meaning that it will output if string is earlier in the alphabet than string 2. So the reason why this is useful that I haven't really gotten to quite yet, that we'll probably get to at some point when we hit arrays, is if we have two strings and we need to figure out which comes first alphabetically, we can do something like this. So I just said that if it's less than, I always confuse which way this works. Less than means that, yeah, that string would come first. So let's do cout, and we'll do this, str. We'll do a space is less than str2, and we're going to copy paste this a couple of times to save a little bit of time. And we'll do equal to, and this one will be greater. We'll do just like that. So when I say greater than, I mean later in the alphabet. When I say less than, I mean earlier in the alphabet. Let me actually adjust that to be more reflective of what I'm talking about. Is before str2 in the alphabet. And let's just kind of, and this will be is after, is equal to or equal to and shorter than. So that's one of the other considerations of using compare. So let's say I do Atlanta, and then I do Chicago. So Atlanta is before string 2 in the alphabet, which is Chicago. Let me just add a cout endl here. But if I do something like Atlanta, Atlanta-is, then we get to see that Atlanta is before, which actually isn't what I expected to have happen here. Generally, if you have two strings that start off the same like this, then I thought that it was actually going to return equal, but in this case I do suppose that I misread the documentation on it, which is okay. It happens. That's why I do these, so you guys can watch what I'm doing. Um, we'll get into sorting probably in about 8 to 10 episodes from now, and when we get into sorting, we are actually going to be doing a sort of strings using what's called a bubble sort, and we are going to be using something along these lines. And the reason that this is important is this is the only good way to compare strings. Um, so this also helps if you're trying to see if a user input a certain thing. You're going to want to use this. So let's say we want to check and see if a user entered the same string twice. So I'm actually going to correct that. So let's assume that, one actual use for this would be a password confirmation. We want to use it to enter a password, but we want to make sure that the user knows what their password is and that they didn't mistype it. So they have to type it twice. This is one of those cases where we then compare the two passwords. So, all right, let's leave it at this for now. I've run a little over how long I wanted to talk about this, but that's okay. It will definitely get you guys to where I want you to be for the next lesson. All right, so if you guys enjoyed this, I apologize for my thinking that this was shorter. It's actually less than if it's shorter. Um, or well, equal and shorter. So anyways, that was my little foible. You guys definitely caught me in that one. Anyways, if you guys like this, share it, thumbs up it, and I will see you all again next time.